Good morning, C2. I am Pastor Megan. I am the missions and communications pastor here at C2, which is why I know communications things, but also one of my favorite things that I get to do is to work alongside our kingdom partners, which is who we partner with through Kingdom Builders. You are the Kingdom Builders. Our missionaries and ministries are our kingdom partners. And so I get to work with missionaries and ministries all over the world. And it's one of the favorite things that I get to do to help you guys connect with them. Just this past week, we got to send me and 3 others to Ellsbury, Missouri, where one of our fellow AG churches actually got flooded from flash flooding. So we went in and had to gut the lower 2 foot of all of the drywall in the church, tear up all of the carpet to help them rebuild. One of the things about C2 is we get to build life-giving churches that lead people to find and follow Jesus. And most people would think that that means that we're going to multiply, which that's the goal. But more than that, we get to help empower other churches to be life-giving as well. And so by us getting to go and providing sack lunches for 30 people, because you guys as kingdom builders gave, you got to help empower that church to, once they get repaired, begin again being life-giving and getting to work side by side with churches, 5 other churches from Northern Missouri Assemblies of God. We got to work alongside 5 other churches because we know that we're not just one church here. We're part of something greater. And it doesn't matter if we're in Columbia or Troy or St. Louis. We come together when the fellow churches are hurting. And so thank you on behalf of Kingdom Builders, but also C2, for allowing us to be sent to do that, even if it's just a day. Today, though, our kingdom partner that we get to present to you is Primrose Hill Adult and Teen Challenge. So I would love to welcome up Miss Debbie. Hey, lovely husband, would you grab that microphone and bring it up here, please? I forgot to tell you the memo. That's on me. Communications may be my job, but we're all needing to improve on that.
Good morning.
Primrose.
Yes.
For those who don't know, because we've had a lot of new faces join C2, which is amazing. Yep. What is Primrose Hill?
Primrose Hill is a 12-month residential faith-based program that David Wilkerson created over 65 years ago that has seemed to be working very well. As a student completes the program, the success rate is 78%. Will never go back to their drug of choice if they go through the program and work the steps that we put in place.
And so you said how many years has it been around?
Well, I'm sure that it's like 67 now, 67, 68, because 65 years has been, it's probably
so 6 decades worth of people finding freedom from addiction through Christ.
Yep.
Which is amazing. Yes. And then Primrose Hill has been around for 10 or 11 years now. I think 10 or 11 years of ministry, plus a couple before getting the ground running. And C2, we've been a part of that since the beginning. So you got to help start and plant Primrose Hill up in Clark, Missouri. What is your involvement with Primrose Hill, but also Teen Challenge as a whole?
My involvement with Teen Challenge is in 2019. I was a student in the Carlinville Audrey Ephraim Women's Center. That's where I started my journey with Teen Challenge. God had jokes because the year that I was supposed to graduate, COVID hit. So he said, you need to have a little more time there. So we weren't released until I was supposed to graduate May of 2020. And of course, in March, the state got shut down and we weren't able to travel. So it wasn't until September when they decided to open up the state to do that. But at that point, I was able to decide that I wanted to stay in ministry and help women with life-controlling issues. And the biggest thing that got me started with Primrose is because so many times in my program, the women would always say if I could just have my children, I would stay. if I could just have my children with me, I will stay. So not only are we a women's center, but we are a women's center that allow women to bring their children under the age of 5 with them to the program. So we get to walk alongside of them as they heal and teach them how to be a mom to their kids that sometimes they feel like they're a mom, but they really weren't there altogether. So we get to do that as well.
Can you unpack for us? Because having a recovery program with children allowed is different. I think we're one of
11
in the U.S., which is kind of crazy because how many mothers are there that go into addiction? This is just a hypothetical. I don't expect you to know this question, but there's a lot of mothers who are in addiction that don't find hope until after their kids have grown.
And I was one of those. My children were 17 and 18 entering their last years of school, and I didn't start my addiction until 2012. So my children were pretty much grown, but they didn't qualify to come there. But it is so true that women don't realize that they can get the help that they need. A lot of times they just are afraid to step out in faith, because when my director interviewed me, she said, it is a 12-month program, and I'm like, I don't necessarily know that I can do that. And her words to me what is 12 months to break free of an addiction that's consumed your life where you weren't there for your kids at all?
I've heard stories of Primrose of people being in addiction for 12 plus years. And the question was presented, what is 1 year compared to 12? Mm-hmm. Is it worth giving up 1 more year of your life for you to be fully present? And I think that's beautiful, because that's what Primrose and Teen Challenge allows them to do, is to be present, not just for their kids, but for their families and to find churches. What kind of involvement have you seen come out of Primrose as they have graduated and went back into their homes or established themselves new?
For the last 3 years, I've been able to watch students leave the program and go into ministry. I have one that is actually a house mom in a transitional house. I have 3 that's just graduated. 2 walked out of the door. They went on their week pass. They walked out of the door. They did what we teach them to do. When they get to that week pass, they get that whole week that they can start submitting their resumes, turning in applications, and they walked out after they graduated. The very next week, they were working a job. And so we've also got them connected with other churches that are in the Moberly area, because most of them are in that area, have been able to find that transitional house to be able to stay in, to where they can get off their feet, and the community can help them do that. So it's just, and they're involved in church. They've gotten involved in small group. That's what we try to teach them too, is you have to be around the right people. Your people, places, and things have to change. And so we've instilled that in them as well.
Well, Primrose is not just about women who are trying to get finished with their addiction, to beat their addiction through Christ. It's about helping them find a relationship with Christ, and also preparing them for what's next. Because it's not just the 12-month program, but it's preparing them for so much more. And that's exactly what we plan to do here at C2. So I know that there's a lot more testimonies and questions and things that we can learn. So I would love to invite the students up and let you take it away. C2, can we give them a big warm welcome?
I also just wanted to say one more thing. We also teach them to partner up. Just like C2 is a partner with us, the church that had the flooding, we did go help there too. We sent 4 students and a lead member there to work and help restore the church, because that's what we're teaching them, right? You have to help build people up, right? Even in their moments. So that's what we taught them.
I got a story too good to hide. I was a blind man wandering until I saw the light. Now I got a story I can't deny. I'm a living, breathing miracle, and I just gotta testify. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus. Ain't nobody love me this good. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus. I know, nobody could. Tell me who can give me this freedom. Tell me who can give me this far. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus. I know, nobody could. Now I'm anointed to bring the news. Everything you did for me, I know he'll do for you. You gave me joy in the morning, from the ashes a crown. I'm a walking, talking miracle, and I just gotta let it out. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus. Ain't nobody love me this good. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus. I know, nobody could. Tell me who can give me this freedom. Tell me who can give me this far. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus. I know, nobody could. Pull me from the darkness, save me by the blood, raise me from the ashes. I know, nobody could. Break off every shackle, tear down every wall, set free every captive. I know, nobody could. Pull me from the darkness, save me by the blood, raise me from the ashes. I know, nobody could. Break off every shackle, tear down every wall, set free every captive. I know, nobody could. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus. Ain't nobody love me this good. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus. I know, nobody could. Tell me who can give me this freedom. Tell me who can give me this far. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus. I know, nobody could.
So after the students are in the program, after they get to a certain point, they get to go on weekend passes. And the testimony that you're going to get ready to hear is a student that's on a weekend pass.
Hi, my name is Lucinda. Today's my birthday, so I'm 46 years old. I'm from a little town called Paris, which is right down the road. Let me see. So I grew up with a great family. My parents, very loving, really good home. They were very social people. Grew up in the social scene, the country club. You know, my dad was a Lions member, JC's, Masons, Scottish Rites, social scene. My mom was in a sorority. But I never really felt up to par. Like, I was popular, I guess you would say, in school, but I never felt like I met the mark as my friends, or I don't know, I guess I don't want to bring it to life, so to speak, but I never felt like I guess mental health played a key part in my growing up. Depression had a hold on me from a very young age. I was very sad. When I was 16, I had my first suicide attempt, and I took 100 Tylenol with a fifth of vodka on Labor Day weekend of '96. And 2.5 days later, I was in Moberly Hospital in critical condition. And they had taken me to Barnes Jewish in St. Louis, called my family in and said I wouldn't make it through the night. I remember my mom coming in and saying I had to fight, and I didn't want to die. I know that. I think they said I went into a coma for a few days, and when I came to, I was still not out of the water, but by some miraculous intervention, I pulled through and I made it. 3 weeks later, I was home, but I still battled with depression and anger. I knew God, but I didn't know God, if that makes sense. The Bible was never even, I don't even know if we had a Bible in my house growing up. I guess you can say that God to me was a fairy tale. It was like the Easter Bunny. I believed in God, but I didn't know him. So fast forward through abusive relationships and more depression. If I can speak freely, became a criminal, an adulteress, liar, cheater, manipulator, someone you couldn't trust, the worst of the worst, an addict, an alcoholic, probably my parents' biggest disappointment. Not probably, I was their biggest disappointment. I've been in and out of prison off and on for 16 years. And I was in jail this past November and December and the beginning of January. And I was like, okay, God, I'll bargain with you. You know, take me somewhere where you're at, and I'll give you a try. And knowing that I wasn't even sure if I wanted that, but what did I have to lose kind of thing. And didn't even know if I was going to give it a try. I was just, what else did I have to lose? I still wanted to drink. I still wanted to use. I still wanted men. I still wanted to smoke cigarettes. But if I could get out of this and try something, then I was going to do that. And I was pushing for Heartland or Primrose, because I know those were two programs that I'd never tried and that the courts, looked highly upon. And things were just going towards Primrose. So I got my interview with Miss Debbie, and then I filled out the application and I went to court, and I was going. Since then, God's revealed himself in ways that I never even asked for. I didn't even plan on. There's no doubt in my mind that he is real. It's almost hard for me to even talk about, because I'm still taking it in that this is happening, that he's changing my life, that this is really happening. I came into the program January 15th, and on February 10th, my father died. He'd been fighting liver cancer, and he had beaten that, but unfortunately he had fallen, and when we think what had happened was his bowels obstructed, and he just couldn't go through the surgery, so we had to let him go. But in the midst of that, God was there with me, and he had me in a sober place, surrounded by my family, my new family, my sisters, surrounded by love, in the presence of God, who had love in the room, amongst family that I haven't been around. I was able to ask my brother for forgiveness when I wasn't even able to talk to my brother or ask him for forgiveness before. I didn't even know if I ever wanted it, even. He's starting to bring restoration into my life. He's definitely brought a faith into my life I didn't even know existed. He's changing my heart. He's changing the way I view things, the way I view people. And these are things that I didn't know I wanted. These are things that I didn't know I could have. And so that's how I know that he's real, that this is real, that God is moving. And I say all that to say this. On July 24th, my mom passed away. And by the grace of God, I'm still here. I don't want to leave. I don't want to run. I want to stay in his presence. I'm surrounded by people that love me and that are carrying me through this. And he's turned my sadness into a strength that I never knew I could have. Excuse me. And he's showing me that this new life that I can have is only from him. And so everything that I thought that I was, and that I, could outsmart him, or I could just trick my way through life, and, he had a bigger plan and a better plan. And I'm just so ever grateful. And because of him working through Primrose and the people here, I've now just been given a better life. And I'm just so grateful. Thank you.
So on the second and third Sundays of the month, I go with Pastor Cliff. He pastors Glad Tidings in Moberly, and I got to meet Lucinda there in jail. We do jail ministry, and gave her the application there, got to cultivate that relationship with her. And she had prayed, and she talked to me about her dad, and she just wanted to be in a place where she could be there in his last moments. And her dad knew that she was in a safe spot and knew that she was getting better. And when I took her to the hospital when they called, he was able to look at her face and look into her eyes, and he touched her face. So I got to be there in those moments at the end for her and be there to support her through that. And that's what we do at Primrose. It just teaches them how to deal with grief. Grief is never easy. Losing someone is never easy. And it can be a loved one that's passed away, or a relationship that passed away. It comes in all kinds of forms. But we really do teach them how to navigate that in a healthier way and taking it to God. We have a prayer closet. We encourage them to journal. We encourage them to pick a favorite verse. We encourage them to pick a favorite song, whatever that looks like, to take them from the spot where they just want to mask their feelings. We want them to express their feelings.
How many times have you wrestled with feeling unworthy? Outside looking in, like you and your sin don't belong. That devil slips through but the truth's been the truth all along. You have been chosen, seen, known, and loved every moment. Called by your name, yes, he knows it. So run like a child to your heart. You've not been forgotten. You have been chosen. If you want to see just how much the King thinks you matter, well, just look to the cross where love paid your cost in red. Oh, he did what he did. It's you that he's been chasing after, just to rescue your heart. He stretched out his arms and said, you have been chosen, seen, known, and loved every moment. Called by your name, yes, he knows. So run like a child to your heart. You have not been forgotten. You have been chosen. You have been chosen. Come home to your seat at the table. Come home to your new family. Oh, the sinner who once was an orphan is now called a child of the King. You have been chosen, seen, known, and loved every moment. Called by your name, yes, he knows it. So run like a child to your heart. You have not been forgotten. You have been chosen. You have been chosen. So run like a child to your heart. You have not been forgotten. You have been chosen.
I'm going to have Melanie get up here and give her testimony, and she's got 3 minutes because we got a 3-minute song, and Megan told me 11:45. No, 11:15 I need it to be done. No? Are you sure? We can have until tonight? All right, great. Got it, because I got a lot to tell. I want to say that when I came into Primrose, Melanie's family was there for their family visit, and they were in the kitchen cooking, and they helped me unload several vehicles because when I came from Carlinville, I brought my posse that raised me up out of Carlinville. And so I walked that journey with Melanie. Melanie stayed on that year as an intern, and she decided that the world was calling her more than her internship, so she left in the cover of dark. And God has a way of bringing him back and says, no, you didn't finish what I asked you to do. So you're going to go back and you're going to finish what I asked you to do. And now I'll let Melanie give you her 3 minutes.
So, you'd think it'd get easier the more that you stand up here and you give your testimony. But I'd like to talk about how you have your cell phone, and if you just to throw it on the ground, it breaks into 1,000 pieces. And just a single piece of that really represents addiction. And it's because there's so many things that you bring from your childhood, trauma, abuse, condemnation, shame, guilt, that you bring, that you try to fill this void with substance abuse. Anyway, that's what I tried to do. And this entire time, it wasn't working. It just created a bigger and bigger hole. And it wasn't until I was deep in my addiction with meth did I cry out to the Lord. That's why I love Romans 10:13. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord, they will be saved. I called on him in my hour of darkness, and I didn't know what I was getting into, but it led me to a 6-night, 7-day stay at a psychiatric unit in Eagle View Behavior Health in Bettendorf, Iowa, because that's where I'm from. And I was there for a day, and the psychiatrist that I was seeing had brought up Adult and Teen Challenge to me and told me it was a 12-month faith-based program. And I said, there's no way I'm doing a year. There's absolutely no way. And she goes, well, how long have you been in your addiction? And I said, about 20 years. And so she says, well, I think you just need to sit on it tonight. And so I went to bed that night and, just not budging, just knowing that I was not going to go to this program. And I woke up the next morning and God completely got a hold of me. I had a complete change of heart. I knew that if I didn't go to this program, I was going to die. And so I ended up calling up to Primrose Hill. I had a choice between two centers, which is the one that Miss Debbie was at, interesting enough, and the one in Clark, Missouri. And one of the patient care techs at the psychiatric unit told me that, go to Missouri because they got beautiful skies. So that's where I ended up. I walked through the doors at Primrose Hill, and it was absolutely, I was embraced. I was embraced. I was facing death. I was 320 pounds. I was on a handful of medications. I was pre-diabetic. I had all these diagnoses, and my biggest fear was that I was going to end up dying at a young age like my mom did. And so I met God. I met God walking through those doors, and He got a hold of me, and He changed my heart again. And if it wasn't for Primrose, and I look at Primrose as being a vessel and what God has done through Primrose, I wouldn't have the relationship that I have with Him today. Even when I slipped and I left in the cover of darkness, I still maintained my reading in my Bible. I may not have been applying it to my life, but I still had these little bits and pieces that Primrose had taught me that I took with me. And I believe that kept me from going full-blown back into my addiction. Because lo and behold, God called me back, me surrendering my will for His, He called me back to Primrose Hill. And I came back on July 22nd of last year. And, some of the girls come in and they're dragging their feet and they don't want to be there. And, because it's hard to leave everything that you've known your entire life at the door and to come into Primrose Hill. But I came running. I knew what I was coming into. I knew that I was going to be embraced and loved from where I was at. And I was in a 4-month restoration program where, yes, I was there for me, but it came evident to me that everything that I had been through in my life, God gave me a platform to help these ladies. And I was offered the internship again, which I'm currently am in right now. And it's just been absolutely astronomical and wonderful to see the changes that takes place in their lives. And so what's going on in my life right now is that, He's delivered me from being overweight. I've lost over 150 pounds. I'm on very few medications today. There's restoration in my family. I will be leaving Primrose Hill and actually getting married on Saturday. Yes. And I'll be going to Central Christian College of the Bible for 4 years to get my bachelor's in counseling. And so He's just radically moving in my life, and that's how I know that I'm in His will. And it took a lot for me to get there, but there was a point in time that I thought that I was too far gone. And so I'm just here to tell you that if you guys think for 1 minute that you're too far gone, don't, because He loves you where you're at. And sometimes what He's told me is that don't look back to where you want to go or where you used to be, because I want to take you somewhere new. And that's what He took me.
So typically we have more students that give testimony, but I felt it was very to honor Melanie that this would be her last service and she'd give her testimony. And Lucinda's testimony just shows you the courage of transparency and integrity and willpower to keep going even when you're trying to be taken out. And so that is what every lady here has, those same stories, but to lose 2 parents in less than a 6-month window, it's pretty detrimental to anybody. And I can only imagine. So we're just going to introduce the students and they'll tell you where they're from.
I'm Dawn Cooper, and I'm from St. Joseph, Missouri.
How long have you been in the program, Dawn?
2 months.
2 months. Okay, she's actually only been at Primrose for 3 days, and she's shaking in her shoes up here. So her name is Mariah, and she's from Springfield.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Well, I'm Mariah Austin. I'm from Springfield, Missouri, and I'm here to stay.
My name's Olivia, and I am from Knox County, and I've been in the program for starting on my 7th month.
Okay, there's a little backstory with Tara. Tara was a student prior to Primrose. She graduated the program. She did go into transitional housing. She has a little bit more training to do, so we just got to keep her. She made some really right decisions, but she made one wrong decision. So she's back for restoration, and we do that at Primrose. Anybody that has been a member of any ATC center across the country, we give them a 6-month restoration. So they can call, they can tell what their situation is. Usually they call the same center, and the same center will either say, yes, you can come back, or we'll get you into a different one. We went ahead and allowed her to come back to the program. So go ahead and tell us where you're from.
I'm Tara. I'm from Troy, Missouri.
My name is Brooklyn. I'm from Peoria, Illinois.
And how long has Brooklyn been in the program?
Oh yeah, Brooklyn. 2 months.
Now, I said this earlier this morning at our 9:15 prayer, which if you have not joined us for our 9:15 prayer, 10 out of 10 would recommend. The Spirit just moves a little different. Same Spirit, but there's just an intimacy about it. But I was telling the girls this morning, and just everyone who was there, that anybody is capable of anything with the right motivation. And we often think that that could never be us, but it could be. God's in our story, and that's why we're here. And God's in their story, and that's why they're here. We're not any better than them, and they're not any lower than us, because in the body of Christ, we're equals. And so you're part of our family. Not just a part of Primrose, but as the body of Christ, you're part of our family, and we're here for you, with you, every step of the way. I remember when Tara came back in, and the first time I saw her, because I had walked with her through that year, and she's like, Miss Megan, are you disappointed in me? And in that moment, I'm like, how could I be disappointed when you made a mistake and you knew who to call? You knew where to go that was safe. You knew that you needed a little more Jesus to help you along the way. How could I ever be disappointed with you making that step that leads you closer to Christ? And that's the epitome of who Primrose is. It's the second chance and the third chance and the fourth chance that Jesus would give us anyway. And that's what you guys get. As many chances as you need, because if you're not dead, God's not done. So, with that, sorry to make you cry. We're with you guys in the long haul. We have walked alongside of you guys for over a decade now. What does it look like for us to tangibly, outside of financial, because we do support them financially every single month, but how can we partner along with you as Primrose continues the ministry?
Well, I would say we need life coaches. Those are just a person that you have a 30-minute window that you come in once a week and speak with a student that's in their 4th month, and it just gives them a different perspective. We do have curriculum that goes along with it that helps mentor them in a different way and show them that there are people out there that are completely different. I mean, you're going to come in there as just that person that's the life coach and nothing more. You're not going to give them rules. You're not going to give them regulations. You're going to be
Kind of like a sounding board.
Yeah, kind of. It's not really a sounding board. There are things that they want you to learn in that whole thing, but what it is it just gets you out of it gets you into a different thought process. It's a different thing, it's a different section that we have.
So who can be a life coach? Because it kind of sounds like a scary title.
Well, it really basically, we do give you the curriculum for that. You do have to go through 4 little things like privacy, OSHA, those kind of things, just the confidentiality things. But other than that, it's really not, it's just you connecting with getting them familiar with being able to connect with somebody when they're done with Primrose, that it's okay, that they can share what their thoughts are on a specific project, and it's okay. They're safe. They can do that. So many times they don't feel safe telling anybody because, and I think we've all probably had that, where we've had somebody that we felt we could confide in, and then the next thing you know, our business is on the street, and we need to raise them up to still be confident enough to do that.
So that means any of you could go through the 4 trainings and become a life coach.
Yep.
How else can we partner with you?
We need volunteers to be able to take students to and from appointments. Most of our appointments are in Columbia, and so that gets a little daunting. We are at minimal staff at Primrose, so any of that could help. We do have some minor projects that could be done at the house that I am not capable of doing, but those types of things too. And we do have that too, because I really want to, she's not tooting guys' horn enough. For that 10 years, anytime, once a year, the men come and they do projects around the house that we've given them. We just have it. The ladies always include us in whatever they've got going on. They always are giving back. C2 is always giving back.
So there's a lot of tangible ways that we can continue to partner with you outside of just giving to Kingdom Builders. But the thing that these ladies need the most, like ladies' Bible studies or C2 groups, plan a game night or a spa night. Mm-hmm. Pick a Friday night and just spend time with the ladies because, don't you like friends? Like doing something different, something fun. I remember a couple years ago, there was someone who was giving their testimony on our stage who said, I don't know what it's like to have sober fun, so I need somebody to help show me. So could that be you?
Well, and I just want to say last year at this time, we went and spent, I won't say anybody's name, but we went and spent the afternoon because there was something going on that evening in church, and I want to just say her closet was like Mary Poppins's bag, where she just kept pulling the right things out of it, and we got to play dance. We got to do the dance party. I didn't know Tara could cut a rug the way she cut a rug. We had to go swimming, those types of things that they would have never got to experience if you guys didn't partner up with us and just come alongside of us and treat us like we're humans, because we are. Yeah, we had a stumble. Yeah, we fell into some situations, but Jesus always came right alongside of you guys, and he comes right back alongside of us too.
That was not my closet, by the way. But some of the relationships that I've formed with the ladies are some of my favorites. But one of the best ways that we can support Primrose is in prayer. And so you guys have already been on the spotlight, so this isn't going to be anything new. But, oh yeah, that's right. Before we pray for them, we are actually hosting the Primrose Gathering this September. So formerly the Gala, we have transitioned it to calling it a gathering because we want to just gather people who are like-minded and have it more about the relationships that are built rather than the pizzazz. Mm-hmm. Share a little bit more about the gathering. I unfortunately do not have the slide uploaded for that.
That's okay. The gathering is, we got, Jesus brought the disciples together with food, so we're doing that. We'll have food there for you. But we do need you to buy tickets that also help offset that, and it also pays it forward to Primrose. Again, that It does take money to make the ministry go. And just so you know, we don't turn anybody away. Our fees are waived if they don't have the way to do it. So it's God's house, and God usually provides a way. And so these benefits are what helps us be able to make the wheels go on the bus. And so it is here at C2 Church, September 18th. Doors open at 6:30. We will have a student or a former student hosting your table. Please purchase a table. It is $250 for you to sponsor a whole table, but make sure you bring people to the table that are going to be wowed by the ministry that's going on. The ladies will be able to share their story. They're going to create a family photo album to be able to tell you their story, and it's called The Face Behind the Story Behind the Face. The Face Behind the Story.
The stories behind the faces.
Stories behind the faces.
This is a great opportunity for you guys to invite people to fall in love with Primrose. It's not just meant for the people in this room, but who do you know that needs to be here? Maybe buy them a ticket, because it's investing in the ministry and the life-changing stories that we got to hear today, because God's not done. Ladies.
We have students that are 10 years out that have progressed. We have one student that she completed the program. She's got her nursing certificate. She does home health care, and she's now on our board. So when you let God impact your life and you die to your old self, He will move the mountains and give you back what you lost.
Ladies, can I have you stand? In this moment, I'm going to ask you guys to extend your hands in prayer as we pray over them. And like we did earlier this morning, don't just agree along with what I'm praying, but say your own prayers in this moment as well, because you could be praying amazing blessings over them. Let's pray. God, I thank you for today, and I thank you for the amazing stories of Primrose Hill and the powerful testimonies that come out of Adult and Teen Challenge. God, I thank you for the redeeming factor that you're not done with us, and you've called us to greater things, and you are a God who forgives, a God who heals. God, you restore relationships. And God, just throughout the time that Primrose Hill has been open, you have allowed your testimony to become history. God, a legacy has been started throughout Primrose Hill, and I'm praying that you would continue that as the years continue with Primrose, that you would pour in new life as they have new leadership coming in this fall, that you allow these students that are here to become more on fire with you, that you would allow them to persevere when the race gets hard, because in our lives, the race gets hard. But God, I know that you're calling them to greater things, because with you, nothing is impossible. So beating this addiction is not impossible. Finding healing is not impossible. And so God, I declare all of these amazing things, all of the promises that you have promised to us onto them, because you have called them chosen and worthy and daughters and co-heirs with Christ. And so we're believing that and proclaiming that in Jesus' name. Amen.